Jacob, I went down to the border exactly once during this story. You basically were living there. There's so much more that you get by being able to work with sources every day. What are the things that even now you feel never quite got through in the way we've been trying to deliver this story and still trying to deliver this story?
Well, your point is such a good one, Lawrence, and that is I met so many people at the time that proved very valuable in learning more about what happened to the policy after the fact. And one example that I'll give you that I haven't talked about before that's in the book and has never before been previously reported is that Kirstjen Nielsen, who said that, there was no separation policy, she denied it existed time and time again, despite signing it into existence, was faced with a peculiar situation after the policy supposedly ended. On March 3rd, 2019, President Trump was flying with her on the way to survey tornado damage in Alabama. The president, by the way, was really on his way to Mar-a-Lago for a weekend there, but they stopped over on the way in aboard Marine One as they flew over the devastation on their way to people who had basically been excited the president was coming after people had died in this community. The president looked over at Kirstjen Nielsen and said to her, "We have to reinstitute that." Speaking of family separations, that's what President Trump was thinking about. And interjecting, stopping this conversation was not Nielsen. It was not Trump. It was not Ben Carson, who was aboard Marine One with them, but it was Melania Trump, who effectively said, no. And I write specifically in the book about what this conversation was like. And President Trump stopped there and said, we'll see. But the bottom line is the president of the United States on multiple occasions wanted to restart this policy. And one of the times he was thinking about doing it was on his way to meet with, to console, to comfort. And you're looking at the trip right there, victims of tornado damage.
Jacob, when you first started reporting on this, and especially the separation of children at the border, that was a kind of a new moral low for Donald Trump publicly. It's not something we could have said with certainty months ahead of time that, when faced with this choice, he will absolutely rip families apart at the border. But then we saw that. And it seems like all of his exhibitions of inhumanity that have followed that have all been, in effect, highly predictable, not surprising, because once we saw him do this, it kind of gave us a sense of what he was capable of.
I see a pattern that's emerged in the coronavirus epidemic, particularly, and specifically some of the very same people that were involved in the family separation drama, including Katie Miller, the now communications director for the vice president of the United States, but then the chief spokesperson on this issue for the Department of Homeland Security, people within the Department of Health and Human Services as well. They were part of the botched effort to reunite separated families. I always said there was never a plan. The truth is there was a plan to reunite families. There were people who tried to do it and they were prevented by the Trump administration. And it's almost like you could tell that exact same story about preparations for and the failure to contain the coronavirus. And it's all right there in the book.